Hello everyone and welcome to chapter 9. And in this chapter, we will be talking about the laws regulating restaurants and other tourism-oriented establishments. But before we proceed to the discussion part, here are our learning objectives. First is to understand the responsibilities of a restaurant or similar establishment. Second is to identify the laws that govern the restaurants and similar establishment. And third is to cite example of issues and problems that may arise in restaurant and other tourism-oriented establishments. Here are the responsibilities of a restaurant or similar establishment. First is proper ingress and egress in locality and environs. So the restaurant should have a designated entrance or exits for the customers. This ensures that the customers can enter and leave the establishment safely and efficiently. Next is appropriately designed facade and architectural features. So the restaurant should design their restaurant properly or appropriately so that it will be appealing to the customers and it can attract more customers as well. And third is adequate secured parking space must be provided for free to customers. These responsibilities is pertaining to the parking space, and the restaurant should provide enough parking space for their customers to ensure that the vehicles of their customers is safe and secure. And in this parking space, they should also deploy a security to maintain the safety and security in the area. And next is the receptionist must be available to usher guests. So the restaurant should employ or should have a receptionist so that they can assist the customers that will be dining in their establishments, or they can assist their customers to their seats and or available seats in the restaurant. Next is waiting lunch with a telephone for customer convenience. So the restaurant should provide a telephone in the waiting lunch for the customers so that they can easily communicate to the staff of the restaurant. Next is adequate size dining room with sufficient, well-maintained furniture. So the restaurant should provide the customers a dining room that is spacious enough for them to ensure their comfortability. And the furniture should also well maintained to make it clean and sturdy para sa safety na rin ng mga customers. Next is pleasant atmosphere, and flooring materials should be kept clean at all times. So from the word itself, dapat yung floor ng restaurant should be always clean so that the hygiene and food safety is ensured, and the atmosphere of the restaurant should be pleasant so that the restaurant can provide relaxation to their customers. Next is high quality cuisine with good presentation served during normal meal hours. So the restaurant should ensure that their food they are offering or serving to their customers is high quality and with good presentation as well, so that it is more appealing to the eyes of the customers, and it should be served during normal meal hours, and as much as possible the staff should serve the food or their orders ng mas mabilis so that the customers will be satisfied. Next is raw food meets minimum government and international standards. So yung mga raw materials or yung mga ginagamit sa food na in-order ng mga customers, it should meet the government and international standards to ensure that the ingredients are safe to consume, and it is not contaminated with insects or bacteria. Next is presentable, clean, and easy to read menu book with logical sequence. So dapat yung menu ng restaurants is maayos and organized so that mas madaling maintindihan ng mga customers, and para mas madali na rin silang makapili. And it should be logical sequence. So dapat yung mga desserts, drinks, main course, appetizers, etc. ay naka-separate of each categories para para mas madali para sa mga customers na alamin kung ano yung gusto nilang order. And next is all menu items are available on a best effort basis. So all menu of the restaurant should be available at all times. But there are circumstances that there are shortage in supplies and some ingredients are seasonal. So it is best that the staff recommend other dishes to the customers. Next, tables covered with clean, high quality tablecloths and napkins. So yung mga table dapat may tablecloths sila to make it presentable and hygienic as well. And in the table, there should be a table napkin for the customers so that it should be hygienic for them while eating and prevent stain from their clothes. Next is polish and clean silverware at all times. So yung mga utensils should be cleaned and sanitized for the safety of the customers. Next is adequate number of well-trained, well-groomed, experienced, efficient, and courteous staff. So the restaurant should have several staff to accommodate all the needs and wants of their customers. And it should not be a staff lang. There should be well-trained. Dapat may training sila. And well-groomed, dapat presentable silang tignan sa mata ng mga customers. Experience and efficiency. Experience, dapat they have experience enough in giving a customer service. Efficient, dapat mabilis sila gumalaw para mas mabilis nilang mabigay yung mga orders ng mga customers. And courteous staff, dapat they should greet their customers when entering the restaurants and also leaving the customers, and saying thank you to their customers para magkaroon ng mas magandang relationship ng customers and staff. Next is well-stocked at all times. So dapat lahat ng mga ingredients are available at all times, or dapat marami silang stocks so that in case na yung mga customers mag-order, ma-provide nila or ma-serve nila yung mga gusto nilang kainin in the restaurant. Next to well-stocked at all times is high-quality fixtures and fittings with running water. So here, it pertains to the comfort room. So in comfort room, dapat may laging available yung running water or tubig in case na yung mga customers need nila to freshen up or to wash their hands. Next is kept clean and sanitary at all times. So from the word itself, dapat laging malinis yung restaurant, especially the kitchen and the comfort room, so that it should ensure that the customers is safe from the contamination, and it should to make it hygienic for the customers. Next is provision of tissue papers, soap, paper towels, and or hand dryers. So itong mga items na to dapat present in the comfort room of the customers, comfort room of the restaurants rather, para in case na need mag-CR ng mga customers, may makagamitin sila sa comfort room para maging hygienic na rin and for their safety na rin as well. So next is kitchen, pantry, and cold storage in good operating condition. So the kitchen and pantry dapat na check lagi ng manager ng restaurant to ensure that it is para masigurado na yung kitchen is fit to operate, and yung pantry naman para ma-ensure that there is no pest or daga in there. And cold storage, it must be in good operating condition, so that yung mga ingredients na kailangan i-store sa cold storage is may paglalagyan and para hindi na rin masira. Next is well-equipped and hygienic facilities. So from the word itself, dapat yung all of the facilities in the restaurant, especially the comfort room and kitchen, is clean at all times to prevent the contamination of the food and avoid food poisoning. Next is equipment is installed to maintain high standard of sanitation and hygiene. So dapat yung in the restaurant, hindi lang nag-i-install ng mga equipment para sa comfortable ng mga customers, dapat rin for their safety na rin, such as for example is air purifier or UV light, which kills the bacteria in the restaurants na hindi nakikita ng mga mata. Next is adequate lighting in public areas. So dapat may enough light yung restaurants para hindi naman siya madilim, and para naman makita nila, para makita ng mga customers yung kinakain nila, if meron mga peste or may mga nahalo sa mga pagkain nila, to avoid food poisoning na rin and be hygienic. And next is fully air-conditioned and well-ventilated main dining or function rooms. So restaurant dapat they ensure the well-ventilated, hindi porket naka-aircon siya, well-ventilated na. Dapat ini-ensure nila yon para ma-ensure na rin nila yung comfortable ng kanilang mga customers. Next is proper maintenance of all sections of the restaurants. So dapat all of their facilities and parts of the restaurant should be maintained every day, or if hindi siya every day, weekly or monthly, para ma-prevent yung mga accidents or injuries to the customers. Next is periodic vermin control program. This program is pertaining to the preventing yung mga pests in the restaurant, especially in the kitchen, to prevent contamination of the food as well as the food poisoning. Next is adequate firefighting facilities in compliance with the Fire Code of the Philippines. So the restaurants, dapat may mga fire extinguisher sila, especially in kitchen, para in case na may lumiyab, may pangpatay sila, and as well as fire exit na rin for the customers, para in case na lumala yung apoy in the restaurants, mas madali lang access yung exit and mas lessen yung mga injuries if it happens.
Laws governing restaurants and related establishments. The Retail Trade Law, regulations related to operating establishments. Republic Act 1180, known as Retail Trade Nationalization Law, enacted on June 19, 1954, the first law regulating retail trade in the country. 1155 or 1957 upheld RA 1180's validity and declared that nationalization of the retail trade is a valid exercise of police power under the Constitution. Retail trade shall mean any act, occupation, or calling of habitually selling direct to the public merchandise, commodities, or goods for consumption. Chan Robles Virtual Law Library. Ang Republic Act No. 1180 o Retail Trade Nationalization Law ay naglalayong protektahan yung mga negosyong Pilipino sa retail trade sa pamamagitan ng paglimita sa mga dayuhan at mga kumpanyang hindi ganap na pag-aari ng mga Pilipino sa pagpapatakbo ng mga negosyo sa retail. Ang batas na ito is naglalayong suportahan ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas at bigyan ng pagkakataon ng mga Pilipino na magkaroon ng negosyo. Ang Supreme Court ng Pilipinas is nagpasya na itong batas na ito ay isang valid exercise ng police power ng gobyerno. Ang batas na ito ay nagkaroon ng malaking epekto sa retail trade sa Pilipinas at nagresulta sa paglago ng mga negosyong Pilipino sa retail. Here's how retail trade law intersects with the operations of restaurants and similar establishments. First is the scope of retail trade. So, ang batas sa retail trade ay nagsasabi na ang retail trade ay ang regular na pagbibenta ng mga produkto ng direkta sa publiko para sa kanilang personal na paggamit. At dahil dito, ang mga restaurants ay maituturing na nasa ilalim ng retail trade dahil nagbebenta rin sila ng mga produkto na kinukonsumo ng mga tao tulad ng inumin, dessert, at iba pang mga items, kasama ng kanilang serbisyo sa pagkain. For example, kapag kumain ka sa restaurant, hindi lang pagkain yung binibili mo. Bumibili ka rin ng inumin tulad ng juice or soda. Maaaring bumili ka rin ng dessert tulad ng cake or ice cream. Ang mga ito is mga product na direktang kinukonsumo ng mga tao. Kaya ang pagbebenta ng mga ito ay nasa ilalim ng retail trade. Kaya kahit na ang pangunahing serbisyo ng mga restaurants ay ang paghahanda at paghatid ng pagkain, ang pagbebenta ng mga karagdagang produkto tulad ng inumin at dessert is naglalagay sa kanila sa kategorya ng retail trade. Ibig sabihin, kailangan din nilang sumunod sa mga regulasyon at batas na nakalagay para sa mga negosyo sa retail. Tulad ng pagkuha ng mga license at permits, pagsunod sa mga pamantayan, and sa kaligtasan ng pagkain. At pinoprotektahan at protekta sa kanilang mga empleyado. Sa madaling salita, ang mga restaurants ay hindi lang mga lugar kung saan kumakain ng mga tao. Sila ay mga negosyo na nagbebenta ng mga products na kinukonsume ng mga tao. And kailangan nilang sumunod sa mga regulations ng retail trade sa Pilipinas. Next is the restrictions on foreign ownership. Many countries, including the Philippines, have restrictions on foreign ownership in a retail trade. These restrictions aim to protect domestic businesses and promote local economic growth. So, ang mga rules na ito ay para makatulong sa paglago ng economy ng Philippines. Pero, kailangan pa rin pag-aralan ng mabuti kung ano yung mga benefits at disadvantages ng mga rules na ito. Parang sinasabi nila, kailangan nating tignan ng mabuti ang lahat ng panig ng issue para masiguro na ang mga rules ay talagang nakakatulong sa paglago ng economy ng Philippines. Next is the specific exceptions for restaurants. Yung mga hotel ay may mga restaurants para sa kanilang mga bisita. Hindi naman talaga pangunahing negosyo ng hotel ang pagbebenta ng pagkain, kundi ang pagbibigay ng tirahan. Kaya, ang batas ay nagbibigay ng exemption para sa mga restaurants na ito. Para hindi na kailangan sundin ng mga hotel ang lahat ng mga batas sa retail trade. For example, ang mga hotel restaurants ay hindi na kailangan magkaroon ng parehong uri ng license na kailangan ng mga independent restaurants. Mas madali rin para sa kanila na magbenta ng alak dahil hindi na kailangan sundin ang lahat ng mga batas sa pagbebenta ng alak. It is also important na tandaan ng mga hotel restaurants ay kailangan pa rin sumunod sa ilang mga batas sa retail trade, tulad ng mga batas sa kaligtasan at pagkain at sa kalinisan. Parang sinasabi nila kahit may exemption, kailangan pa rin na masiguro ang mga pagkain ay ligtas at malinis. Sa madaling salita, ang mga hotel restaurants ay may special na exemption sa batas sa retail trade dahil ang pagbebenta ng pagkain ay hindi naman ang pangunahing negosyo ng hotel. Pero, kailangan pa rin nilang sumunod sa ilang mga batas para masiguro na ang pagkain ay ligtas at malinis. Next is the capital requirements. In the Philippines, may mga batas na nagsasabi na kailangan ng mga negosyong pag-aari ng mga dayuhan na magkaroon ng pera pang-umpisa or kapital para makapagsimula ng negosyo sa retail. Parang sinasabi nila na kailangan may sapat na pera ang mga foreign businesses para makapagsimula ng negosyo sa Philippines. So, kailangan ng mga foreign restaurants na magkaroon ng sapat na pera para matugunan yung mga requirements ng batas. Kung hindi sila makakapag-operate ng legal na negosyo sa Philippines. Ang mga requirements na ito is para maprotektahan ng mga negosyong Pilipino at makatulong sa paglago ng economy ng Philippines. Pero, kailangan din ng mga foreign restaurants na maunawaan yung mga batas na ito at magplano ng mabuti para matugunan yung mga requirements. Lastly, consumer protection. Kahit pangunahing naghahain ng pagkain ng mga restaurants, kailangan pa rin nilang sumunod sa mga batas na nagpoprotekta sa mga customer. Kasi nagbebenta rin naman sila ng mga produkto tulad ng inumin or iba pang mga paninda. Ibig sabihin, kailangan pa rin masiguro na ligtas at maayos ang mga produkto na para sa mga customer. Another laws governing restaurants and related establishments is laws regulating the sale of alcohol, licensing requirements, and compliance for serving alcohol beverages. The National Internal Revenue Code of 1997, as amended by RA number 9334, December 21, 2024, has imposed excise taxes on the purchase of alcohol. This excise tax rate shall be based on the classification of alcohol content as provided under the law. In the Philippines, may mga batas na nagre-regula sa pagbebenta ng alak. Kailangan ng mga establishmento na magkaroon ng license para makapagbenta ng alak. And they need to follow certain rules to ensure safe and responsible selling practices. Bukod dito, may excise tax na binabayaran sa pagbili ng alak. Depende sa dami ng alcohol na nakapaloob dito. Laws regulating the sale of alcohol are a fundamental part of the laws governing restaurants and related establishments for several key reasons. First is public safety and well-being. Under this, it has preventing underage drinking. Alcohol sales are strictly regulated to prevent minors from accessing and consuming alcohol. This is crucial for protecting the health and safety of young people, as underage drinking can have serious consequences including accidents, injuries, and long-term health problems. In the Philippines, sobrang strikto ng mga batas pagdating sa pagbebenta ng alak para ma-prevent na ma-access at mainom ng mga minors. Maraming masamang effect ang underage drinking tulad ng accidents, pinsala, and long-term health problems. Next is the combating drunk driving. Sa Pilipinas, ang mga batas tungkol sa pagbebenta ng alak ay naglalayong mabawasan ang mga kaso ng drunk driving. Restaurants and bars are required to serve alcohol responsibly. Dapat nilang tanggihan ang mga pagbebenta ng mga alak sa mga taong lasing na, and they should encourage designated drivers. Sinasabi sa batas na mag-ingat sa pagbebenta ng alak at siguraduhin na ligtas ang mga tao pagkatapos uminom. Next is legal compliance and licensing. Obtaining liquor licenses. Restaurants and bars must obtain specific liquor licenses to legally sell alcohol. These licenses are subject to various regulations and requirements, including age verification procedures, hours of operations, and types of alcohol permitted. Sa Pilipinas, bago makapagbenta ng alak, kailangan ng mga restaurants at bars na magkaroon ng specific liquor license. This license is not just given out easily. There are certain requirements and regulations that need to be met. For example, they need to have age verification procedures in place, follow specific hours of operation, and only sell certain types of alcohol. Parang sinasabi sa batas, hindi basta-basta ang pagbebenta ng alak. Kailangan may permission at sundin yung mga patakaran. Next is the penalties for violations. Sa Pilipinas, kapag hindi sumunod yung mga restaurants and bars sa mga batas tungkol sa pagbebenta ng alak, they can face serious consequences. This includes fines, suspensions of their license, or even having to close down their business. It says in the laws, so it is important for restaurants and bars to take compliance seriously to avoid these consequences. Next is the financial and business considerations. Revenue generation. Sa Pilipinas, ang pagbebenta ng alak ay isang malaking kita para sa mga restaurants and bars. Pero, kailangan nilang sundin yung mga batas para ma-maximize yung kita nila habang nagbibigay ng responsible service. Pwede kang kumita ng malaki sa pagbebenta ng alak, pero kailangan mo ring maging responsible at sumunod sa mga patakaran. Lastly, insurance and liability. Sa Philippines, may mga batas na nagsasabi na ang mga restaurants at bars ay may mga pananagutan sa mga aksyon ng mga taong lasing na pumapasok sa kanilang establishments. This means they need to have proper insurance coverage and implement policies to minimize the risk of lawsuits. Parang sinasabi ng batas, kailangan mong mag-ingat kasi pwede kang kasuhan kung may mangyaring masama sa isang taong lasing sa iyong establishments.
For the continuation of the laws governing restaurants and related establishments, we have the Food Fortification Law. In the year 2000, dito nagsimula ang Food Fortification Law, where staple foods like rice, salt, sugar, and oil is kinakailangan na meron po silang micronutrients. Like sa rice, it must be fortified with iron. Salt must contain iodine, flour with vitamin A and iron, and sugar with vitamin A as well. Kaya ito naging law sa Philippines. Before Food Fortification Law po kasi, very common po ang micronutrient deficiency, which means mas madaling magkasakit yung mga tao. That's why Philippine Food Fortification Act of 2000 or the RA 8976 was enacted to combat widespread micronutrient deficiencies in the country. Sa mga kinakain po natin or mga binibiling pagkain, meron tayong nakikitang fortified na tatak. This is the Diamond Sangkap Pinoy Seal, which means yung mga product na meron means they meet the required food fortifications. Itong seal na po ito is awarded by the Food and Drug Administration of the DOH. Meaning, kapag meron pong tatak ang isang product, is they complied with this law. In terms of restaurants and food businesses naman po, they must ensure that the ingredients they use are fortified with necessary nutrients. For example, wheat flour, rice, and cooking oils must be fortified with vitamins and minerals. The law emphasizes the fortification of staple foods that are commonly consumed, and restaurants are encouraged to source ingredients that comply with these food fortification standards. If a restaurant or businesses fails to comply with food fortification requirements, there are penalties stipulated by the law. Meron po tayong tatlo, which is first, yung fines. Second po is closure of the business. And third is the legal actions, which means total neglect of fortification requirements. For our next topic are laws governing casinos and gaming establishments. Dito po sa ating bansa, the primary legal framework governing the casino and gaming industry is the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation or PAGCOR. Si PAGCOR po are responsible for licensing, regulating, and supervising all casino and gaming establishments in the country. We have here the regulations applicable to gaming activities. We all know that casinos are part of tourism-related businesses which falls under entertainment and leisure sector. Ang licensing and regulation by PAGCOR are essential for ensuring that casinos and gaming establishments operate legally, ethically, and transparently within the Philippine tourism industry. Ang PAGCOR din po also helps to prevent illegal activities such as unlicensed gambling and money laundering. In addition, yung regulations po na ganito ni PAGCOR also contributes to the economy by generating tax revenue and attracting both local and international investments. In casino and online gaming activities, mahigpit po dito ang RA 9160 or the Anti-Money Laundering Act, wherein dapat walang mga suspicious financial or money activities, especially mga large sums of money ang meron dito. So, paano ba nila nalalaman if a casino is complying with this law? Siyempre, as part of the licensing requirements and due diligence. Meron ding tinatawag na KYC protocols or Know Your Customer, wherein meron silang mga records of the identity of a person and financial transactions. Meron ding internal audits, minomonitor and ine-inspect yan ng PAGCOR. Third is responsible gaming policies. They are mandated to implement responsible gaming policies to prevent first yung gambling addiction. So, paano ba mape-prevent ang isang tao in terms of gambling addiction? In terms of casinos, pwedeng iset yung time and spending limit para din maging aware sila. Meron ding tinatawag na self-exclusion programs that allows players to voluntarily take a break from gambling. So second, of course, mahigpit din sila sa age restrictions, and lastly, the data protection to prevent identity theft in order to protect the gamers. Pang-apat po is taxation regulations wherein casinos must pay taxes on their gaming revenues. Sa mga casinos, meron silang binabayaran na several type of taxes. At depende din po if it is government-operated or a private business. For instance, yung mga PAGCOR-operated casinos, they are required to pay a 15% tax on their gaming revenue. While yung mga private casinos naman po, may be taxed at 25%, and in addition, they must comply with the value-added tax or yung VAT. Another one po is the online gaming regulations. Yung PAGCOR, they also regulate online gaming regulations, which is the Philippine Offshore Gaming Operations or kilala bilang POGOS. They have same standards as land-based casino din po regarding anti-money laundering practices, yung mga taxation, and consumer protection. But as of 2024, the Philippine government has officially banned all POGOs in the country dahil po sa mga concerns over crime and exploitation. Lastly is the advertising and marketing regulations. Dito po is to ensure that promotional activities are ethical, transparent, and do not encourage harmful behavior such as excessive gambling. Yung PAGCOR po mandates that all gambling-related promotions must be clear and truthful. Yung mga marketing campaigns must also avoid targeting minors, and mahigpit din po sila in advertising through mediums na accessible sa mga underage audiences. Those are the regulations applicable to gaming activities po, and non-compliance to all of these regulations can result in serious consequences like fines, license suspension, or even closure po ng business. Next topic is the operation and maintenance of tourism-related establishments. Yung mga establishments po, like hotels, resorts, restaurants, na dapat, they are ensuring the quality, safety, and sustainability of services na pinoprovide nila sa kanilang mga visitors, local man yan or international. Yun pong Republic Act 9593 or the Tourism Act of 2009 in the Philippines. They provide guidelines for the development of the tourism industry. In terms of operational standards, meron po tayong tatlo: the service quality, safety and hygiene, and sustainability practices. Kapag sinabing service quality, hindi lang ito sa mga hotels, resorts, and restaurants. This applies to all tourism-related facilities that directly influence customer satisfaction and overall appeal of the destination. So, the DOT mandates every tourism-related establishments to provide consistent, high-quality services. Dapat din na may requirements for staff training, customer relations, and operational excellence. In terms naman po in safety and hygiene, this is very important for culinary tourism and restaurants because they directly affect the health and well-being of customers. Maintaining clean food preparation areas, proper storage, and handling practices ensures food safety and complies with regulatory standards. So lastly po, in operational standards is yung sustainability practices such as responsible waste management, energy conservation, and preserving natural resources. so that it will align with the broader goal of the sustainable tourism development. Next is about the maintenance of tourism-related establishments. First is the facility maintenance. This ensures a safe, functional, and aesthetically pleasing environment for guests. Siyempre, hindi ka naman mag-i-stay sa isang hotel with broken elevators, leaking roofs, or dirty amenities kasi masisira yung guest satisfaction and loss of a business credibility. Next is equipment maintenance. It is a standard in tourism businesses, often require regular equipment servicing to avoid disruptions. Yung operational efficiency and guest safety po kasi is depende din po on well-functioning tools and machinery. Lastly is the landscaping and ambience. Siyempre, hindi naman mako-consider ang isang tourist destination as a destination if hindi naman inviting yung kanyang environment. Hindi na showcase yung natural beauty or architectural harmony. Ang thoughtful landscaping and ambience po kasi improves positive first impressions, enhance guest satisfaction, and encourage repeat visits. So in conclusion, this topic is not only for upholding industry standards, but also for improving or giving a positive image of the Philippines as a competitive and responsible tourism destination. And now let's move on to accreditation and industry associations. An accreditation is a certification po issued by the department to a tourism enterprise that officially recognizes as having complied with the minimum standards for the operation of tourism facilities and services. Itong certification po na ito assures customers and regulatory bodies that the businesses complies with required quality, safety, and service protocols at hindi po basta-basta para ma-accredit ang isang enterprise or business. It has processes po, which is first, yung application submission. Siyempre, yung mga forms and documents like proof of business registration, health and safety certifications, and others. Second is the document review, then site inspection, evaluation, and lastly, kapag na-approve na, and issuance. In terms of establishments, merong iba't ibang requirements na kinakailangan. And in terms of restaurant business or establishments, ito yung mga needed for an accreditation. First, in terms of location, so yung place po and surroundings, including access roads, must have proper entry and exit points. Dapat yung mga architectural design and building must be appropriate and well-designed. Second is yung parking po. Dapat may designated for car parking sa mga customers for free and secured. Sa reception naman po, there should be a receptionist na available to assist or to cater guests. Dapat din po may provided na telephone and waiting lounge. In terms of dining room naman po, meron tayong 6 requirements. First, in terms of furnishing, yung mga dining room po shall be adequate in size and well-maintained furniture, including yung flooring materials. It should be kept clean at all times. Next is yung atmosphere. Siyempre, di ba po wala naman sigurong kakain sa isang restaurant na babaho. It shall have a pleasant atmosphere. In cuisine naman po, there shall be a cuisine of good quality and presentation available during normal meal hours and served with distinction. Yung mga raw foods po shall meet minimum government and international standards. So for example, kapag seafoods, dapat it should be free from contaminations. Next is the menu book or card. There shall be a menu book or card which should be presentable at madaling basahin or maintindihan. All items should be available at all times on the best effort basis. In terms of linen naman po, ito yung mga tablecloth, cloth napkins na dapat they are maintained clean and in good quality. Hindi po sila dapat kupas or may mga stain kasi dapat pinapalitan po yan after every service. In crockery naman po, ito yung mga baso, plato, or mga gamit that is placed on the table. Dapat po walang basag or walang bitak. In terms of spoon and fork naman po, yung mga silverware, it should be polished and clean at all times. Another requirement po is service and staff. There should be a number of well-trained, well-groomed, experienced, efficient, and courteous staff na nagtatrabaho. In terms of bar naman po, dapat lang na they are well-stocked at all times. In terms of comfort rooms, dapat may good quality of fixtures and provided with running water. Hindi po dapat palaging barado. It should be kept clean and sanitary at all times. Sa kitchen naman po, yung mga basic standards and cleanliness, well-equipped and dapat hygienic. Sa lighting naman po, dapat meron in terms of lighting in dining rooms, public rooms, comfort rooms, corridors, and other public areas. Meron din pong requirements in terms of air conditioning or ventilation. And sa maintenance naman po, all sections of the restaurants dapat na-maintain properly at all times. Meron din dapat regular vermin control program for pests to protect the establishments. Lastly is yung firefighting facilities in accordance din po with the Fire Code of the Philippines. So these are the standards po in order for restaurants to be accredited by the DOT. Yung accreditation po also boosts the restaurant's credibility and can contribute to economic growth and promoting the Philippines as top tourist destination.
Food Caterers Association of the Philippines, or FCAP. FCAP is a non-profit organization that represents catering professionals in the Philippines. It is dedicated to promoting excellence and professionalism in the catering industry and providing valuable resources and opportunities for its members. Law regulating caterers. A caterer is defined as a person, firm, or association providing food and supplies, and sometimes services for parties, weddings, and other social functions. A caterer is defined as a provider of food and provisions. There are two kinds of catering services. First is on-premise catering, and the second is off-premise catering. On-premise catering, in this type of catering, the caterer has its own banquet hall with an attached kitchen or production area. Off-premise catering, for this type of catering, the caterer brings the complete service to the customer. It is kind of banquet operation that takes place in a venue chosen by a client or in an airline, boat, industrial site, and other places. This banquet service caters to various types of function such as wedding, social events like parties, debut, anniversaries, and the like seminars, trade exhibits, and other events. Membership in FCAP has the following benefits. First, the opportunity to network with the best mind in the catering industry. Second, expansion of the catering business by showcasing itself to several prestigious events. And third, the learn through interchange of ideas and educational programs. And last is to keep abreast of the latest trends in order to keep business operation of optimum speed. This is the following requirements to become a member of FCAP. First is SEC or DTI registration, company profile, mayor's permit or certificate of business registration, pictures of different setups, sample of brochure and business card, one or more visitation coming from the board of directors of FCAP, and one-time application fee of 3,000 plus 2,000 as the first annual fee, which gives a total of 5,000 with renewal of 2,000 pesos. For allied members or suppliers, SEC or DTI registration, company profile, mayor's permit or certificate of business registration, sample of brochures and business card, one one-time application fee of 5,000 pesos, 10,000 pesos, 20,000 pesos, depending on the capitalization. Number 4 is Local Government Unit or LGU regulations. Role of the local government units. Under the Local Government Code, the responsibility for the provisions of basic service and facilities has been devolved to the local government units. The term devolutions refers to the act by which the local government units to perform specific functions and responsibilities. The local government units, through the city of municipality, have the authority to grant franchises and enact ordinances authorizing the issuance of permit or licenses intended to promote the general welfare of the inhabitants of the city or municipality. Local government units have the power to regulate the establishments, operation and maintenance of cafes, restaurant, beer house, hotels, inns, pension houses, lodging houses, and other similar establishments, including the tourist guides and transports. They also have the power to regulate the establishments, operations, and maintenance of entertainment, of amusement facilities, including theatrical performances, circus, billiard pools, public dancing schools, public dance hall, sauna baths, massage parlors, and other places of entertainment or amusement. Regulate such as other events or activities for amusement, particularly those which tend to disturb the community or annoy the inhabitants, or require the suspension or suppression of the same, or prohibit certain forms of amusement or entertainment in order to protect the social and moral welfare of the community. The word regulate, as used in subsection 1, section 2444 of the Administration Code, means and includes the power to control, to govern, and to restrain. But regulate should not be construed as synonymous with suppress or prohibit. Consequently, under the power to regulate laundries, the municipal authorities could make proper policy regulation as to the mode in which the employment or business shall be exercised. Zoning law determine where businesses like restaurant can operate, ensuring they are located in appropriate areas and are not disturbing residential zones. Health permit. LGUs issue health permit to food businesses, which they need to operate legally. Health inspectors often visit this establishment to check cleanliness, safe food storage, and proper waste disposal. If a business fails to meet this standard, they could face fines or even closure until they make the necessary improvements. These regulations help create a safer dining environment both for locals and tourists. Number 5 is common issues and problems. First is food safety violations. A health violation or health code violations happen when a restaurant breaks rules regarding hygiene, food safety, or sanitation. Restaurant health inspectors are the ones who enforce these rules. They carry out regular inspection to ensure restaurant and practicing safe food handling, hygiene, and sanitation practices. Health codes are put in place to protect customers from food poisoning and other illness. In 2023, Salmonella cases in the Philippines increased to 13,000 up from 9,000 in 2022. This rise is a serious public health issue that can affect tourism. Salmonella is spread through contaminated food, especially raw or undercooked meats and eggs, causing stomach problems and fever. Food safety violation can lead to legal issues for restaurants and hotels that serve food to tourists. Ensuring food safety is important for protecting public health and keeping the tourism industry strong. Second is customer complaints. Food quality issues. If people complains about food safety, like if the food is undercooked or if allergens aren't mentioned, it can lead to legal claims if someone gets hurt or if the food isn't as promised. Service quality issues. Complaints about service can cause problems if someone lies about the business or if customers are treated unfairly because of their race, gender, or other protected traits.
Okay, so next one is the staff management problems. So dito, ito yung mga challenges and also yung mga problems na na-encounter ng mga establishments when it comes to hiring, training, and also retaining employees, which should be prioritized kasi pwede siyang maka-apekto sa positive work environment, also sa restaurant itself or sa mga establishments, and also yung operational efficiencies and most especially yung customer satisfaction. So, paano nga ba siya maiiwasan? Here are some staff management problems and legal considerations na pwedeng gawin ng mga business owners in our industry. So, una dito is hiring and employment contracts. So, some companies are having problems about providing minimum wages and overtime pay sa mga employees nila. Also, yung mga proper documentation such as recording accurate records of contracts, timesheets and performance evaluation, and discrimination and harassment of employees. So, with those problems, maglilid siya to legal disputes and penalties. So, second one is working hours and schedules. So, dito sa working hours and the schedules, meron tayong 3 usual complaints na natatanggap sa ating mga employees. So, una dito is excessive work hours, which can lead to burnout, decreased productivity, and also potential health issues. Next one is meal breaks and rest periods are vital for the sake of their health. And the last one is flexible work arrangements that aren't implemented legally and fairly. So, the third one na consideration na pwede natin gawin is compensation and benefits. So, dito is it includes the accurate and timely payments of their mandatory contributions such as the social security system or yung ating SSS, taxes, and also health insurances. So, syempre, errors can result in penalties and legal liabilities. And the last one na pwede natin i-consider is yung health and safety ng ating mga employees. So, yung ating mga employers, they should provide a safe environment and free from hazard and risk. So, by implementing safety and health standards, they can provide protection to employees and the employees' well-being. So, next one is vandalism and theft. So, when we say vandalism, this means the intentional destruction of a property. And this includes graffiti and also damaging physical structures and equipment. So, yung graffiti, example na to is spraying, marking, or painting the property such as walls, yung mga surfaces ng establishments or yung mga buildings. And also yung damaging physical structures and equipment naman is ito yung mga breaking or destroying doors or windows, equipments or items in an establishment such as machineries or furnitures. So on the other hand, theft is an act of stealing a property or someone's belongings. So pwede dito yung kapag kumuha ka ng mga objects like electronics or money, goods from the establishment without their permissions, and also yung mga items from someone's pockets or bags. So yung mga ganitong actions, there are serious offenses which have consequences for both companies and individuals na involved in such acts. So makikita nyo sa ating PowerPoint, meron dyan yung ating mga several laws covers these offenses. So the first one is the Revised Penal Code, Article 328, Malicious Mischief. This article covers acts of vandalism such as damaging someone's property or belongings to restaurant and tourism establishments. Article 309, Theft. This article outlines penalties for theft, including theft of property for restaurants and hotels. So the second one is the Local Government Code. Local government units, or the LGUs, have the authority to enact ordinance to address specific issues within their jurisdiction. So this includes the ordinances related to vandalism, theft, and public order, which may be applied to restaurants and tourism establishments. So let's move on to the next example, which is the compliance with alcohol law. So this concerns legal issues related to alcohol laws to be followed by establishments to operate responsibly and for them to avoid penalties. So to be able to avoid penalties and maintain a responsible business, it is important to consider some of the following. So the first one is having all the required license and permits to serve alcohol beverages, keeping your business updated on changes on alcohol laws and regulations, and train and educate your staff about handling and monitoring customers' IDs and behavior to prevent chaos. Also providing public safety by carefully checking their belongings to avoid intoxication. And the last one is being aware and complying with local ordinances such as curfews to avoid distractions. So failure to consider this may result to business interruptions, employee safety and labor issues, regulatory compliances. So the last example will be poisoning. Poisoning is a serious health concern which has significant legal consequences for restaurants and tourism establishments if proven that there is an act of this. So there are three legal implications of poisoning. The first one is civil liability, the second one is criminal liability, and the third one is regulatory violations. So in civil liability, if it is caused by negligence, the business may be liable for damages, and the business may also be liable for serving defective or contaminated products. And in criminal liability, if the poisoning results in serious injury or death, there will be criminal charges that will be filed to the establishment or to its owner. And in regulatory violations, this situation may lead to violations of local health codes and regulations resulting in penalties and temporary closure of the establishments for worse scenarios. Also, in a situation like this, it may also result in revocation of the establishment's license to operate.
So for the case number 1, Rosalyn Melendez, a pub owner in Bohol, strictly prohibits her employees from selling liquor or any alcoholic beverages to the minors. But isa sa mga employees nila, which is Ariel, binentahan niya yung 3 teenagers, which is age 15 and 16, ng beer. So, si Rosalyn Melendez ba is liable or yung employees or yung employee na lang? For this case, yes, Mrs. Melendez is also liable because she has violated a provincial ordinance in Bohol. This is the Sangguniang Panlalawigan of Bohol Province enacted Provincial Ordinance number 2000-030, or also known as the Bohol Children's Code. Under Article 5, Section 50, it shall be unlawful for the sale of liquor to any child. So, with that being said, liable talaga si Mrs. Melendez, hindi lang yung employee niya. Because may na-violate silang provincial ordinance sa Bohol, and it is stated that bawal talaga magbenta ng any liquor or any alcoholic beverages sa mga minors. So for the case number 2, Mark Baranda is a chef in a 300-seater restaurant in the Manila Bay area. So one day nagkaroon siya ng customers na politician, but the politician become picky in but the politician becomes very picky about the appetizers, and umabot sa point na inunsulto na nung politician sila Mark Banana and the food preparation team. And yung ginawa nila, the chef and his team became so upset, parang nainis sila sa action ng politician. So yung some cooks engage in unhygienic practices such as spitting in the food, dinuraan nila yung pagkain na serve nila sa politician, and adding harmful substances. And itong action nila, the guests experience discomfort, and yung mas worse, two of the guests is hospitalized due to toxic food contamination. And according to the laboratory test, it is confirmed that the food is contaminated. So, si Chef Mark, together with his team, are all criminally liable for serious physical injuries under the revised Penal Code of the Philippines. So, lahat sila is liable sa actions. Lahat sila is liable dahil sa ginawa nilang pagdura sa pagkain and paghalo ng harmful substances sa pagkain ng mga guests na humantong sa hospitalization ng dalawang guests. And since it is also proven in laboratory that the food is contaminated, and aside from that, chef and his team is not only liable in this case, the restaurant shall be civilly liable also for the crimes committed by Chef Mark and his team.